Nigel, and today I have something. I'm just going to pull up my footnotes for today's episode, and today I have something super special for you guys. So, first things first, before we get into it, we are going to reveal the answer to last week's riddle. So, just a quick recap. Last week's riddle was this: what belongs to you, but yet is used by other people more than is used by you? The answer to that was your name. Uh, when people see you or call you, they use your name, but it belongs to you. And so that was the answer to last week's riddle. And of course, stick around for the end as we'll reveal next week's riddle. So, this month is a special month, and the reason why is because this month is Black History Month. Now, Black History Month is something that, of course, is important to me as I'm a man of African American descent. And so this is a very important month for me and for African American people as they celebrate their history and their culture. Now, originally, I wasn't going to do a special episode for this month because I personally feel that every month, for me at least, should be Black History Month, celebrating our history and our culture. But this, I feel, is a special episode dedicated to that. And so, I am dedicating this episode to talk about several things, Black or African American, and that are favorites in my life, and the importance of Black History Month. And it's such an important month and such an important topic to study is African American history, is because it's our history and it's the history of America. A lot of things in America couldn't exist without African Americans. And so that's why it's such an important month and such an important topic to talk about. And it's something that everyone should have some knowledge about, is African American history. So, we're going to start with the origin. How did this month and the celebration of African American history all begin? Well, it began with Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life in History. So in 1926, they announced Negro History Week, which was a week, it was the second week in February, and that was to celebrate the history and the accomplishments of African Americans during that time. And the reason that it was chosen for the month of February is not because it was a shorter month, because the shortest month, as many people may believe, but actually because two of Carter Woodson's favorite people, which was Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, who contributed to African American history and were seen as abolitionists, were born in the month of February. And so the second week of February was taken to celebrate that history. And so, later on in 1969, Black educators at Kent State University opted to celebrate. They said, let's celebrate this all month. We should celebrate this completely for the month of February. And so that was sort of what got the ball rolling for Black History Month. And it was officially recognized as such in 1976 by President Gerald R. Ford. And he established it because he felt it was, well, what he said was it was important to study accomplishments of African Americans that may have been overlooked. And so that was sort of the origin of Black History Month. So let's start with my favorite African American musicians. Those who know me love that I absolutely love music. Music is something that I enjoy listening to almost all the time. And so some of my favorites include the likes of Luther Vandross. So let's start with him. Luther Vandross was a singer. He passed away, unfortunately, but he was a singer, and he is one of my favorites. He has such an amazing voice, such a powerful voice, and he wrote some of my favorite songs that I listen to all the time, like Here and Now. And what he did that was cool was he did covers of other songs and made them sound really, really great, such as Always and Forever and Love Won't Let Me Wait. Those are some of my favorites from Luther Vandross, and he's one of my favorites. Jimi Hendrix. He's one of the main reasons why I want to learn the guitar. This man was absolutely fantastic on the guitar. He also unfortunately passed away at the age of 27, making him one of the members of the infamous 27 Club, which is a group of musicians and performers that all died at the age of 27. And there's him, then Michael Jackson, of course, King of Pop, always one of my favorites to listen to, and Whitney Houston as well. She has such a profound voice, of course, sang the famous version of the national anthem, or was it America Beautiful? Oh, it was the national anthem, I believe. If I'm not sure, but during the Super Bowl, and contributed to some amazing songs that almost all of us listen to or have listened to at some point. So those are some of my favorites. And moving on to athletes. So athletics, I'll admit, is not something that I'm that strong about. Athletics in sports isn't something that I'm particularly head over heels in love with, but it's something that I feel is pretty cool and important. And seeing a lot of people passionate about it, it must be kind of cool then. So some of my favorites that I've seen include Kobe Bryant, rest in peace to him. Muhammad Ali, the boxer, of course. And absolutely love boxing. He was one of the reasons that I got into it, not just because he was an excellent boxer, but because he was an excellent talker as well. Oh, and he added that element into his boxing. Was his very what's the word I'm looking for? Very open, some would call it arrogant, but he talked the talk and he backed it up, and that's why he's one of my favorites. And Michael Jordan, of course. And Michael Jordan, of course, the basketball player, made Space Jam. Space Jam, awesome movie. And so those are some of my favorite athletes. And moving on to comic book characters. I love comic books, which is why I'm wearing Mr. Ant-Man today. And in a lot of these episodes, I wear a lot of comic book shirts. I love comic books. And some of my favorite characters include Black Panther. Of course, just recently had a movie. 2018 was when the movie came out. A great movie. Absolutely loved it. Storm from the X-Men, one of my favorite X-Men. And Luke Cage, one of my favorites. Heroes for Hire, or part of the Defenders. There's the Indestructible Man, and his Netflix show. I kind of got into, watched one or two episodes of it. Black Lightning, and I remember he had a show as well on CW. And I heard that was really good. I wasn't able to get into it, unfortunately. John Stewart, the Green Lantern, one of my favorite Green Lanterns to watch back when I was growing up, watching the Justice League cartoon. Seeing him on there, he was always one of my favorites. And Static Shock, the man, Static Shock. I absolutely loved him growing up. And finally, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury. And yeah, I know in the comics he was white at some point, but the current incarnation that they use in the movies and a lot of modern comic books is African American, which is cool to see. And moving on to activists and historic figures, two of the ones that I love to study the most are Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, because they were so similar yet so different. They both were championing for African American involvement in their culture and for equal rights for African Americans. But while Martin Luther King was very nonviolent, he wanted to take the peaceful approach through demonstrations and marches. Malcolm X was a bit more forceful, a bit more violent. His was by any means necessary, but they were so similar, and both of them, in my opinion, are absolutely incredible to study and to see their similarities and their differences, which is why I love both of them so much, so much. So, that is it Black History Month, while it's wrapping up, this is the last day, of course, of February, the leap day, but I, I feel that Black History Month should be every month, and every day we should celebrate the accomplishments of African Americans because we've overcome so much as people that it's absolutely incredible, and that should always be celebrated. But that is about it for today, and I will leave you all with next week's riddle. So here it goes. What starts with an E, ends with an E, but only has one letter in it? Let's read that one again. What starts with an E, ends with an E, but only has one letter in it? That is your riddle for next week. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you all later. Peace.